What most people don't realize is a major reason why they're still struggling with anxiety or depression is that they're only using coping mechanisms. And so long as you are in the coping oriented mindset, that's all you're ever going to be able to do, is be able to get through another day, get through another week a little bit better, but not actually get any closer to a real solution. So there are 6 major coping mechanisms that are very often the ones that people cling to that are just not going to create solutions for you. And you need to be aware of these. So the first one I would say very often, honestly, is typically trying to throw yourself into different activities. This is especially the case for high-performing professionals, people who just want to go and overwork. And they think that if essentially they can just completely consume themselves in a set of activities and ignore the noise and the chatter that's going on in the back of their head and ignore the problems that are waiting for them at home, then everything's going to be okay. And obviously we can understand that when you burn the candle at both ends, you're going to get burned eventually. This is what I call roadrunner syndrome. It's like you believe that if you can just keep running incredibly fast, even once you go off of that cliff, as long as you don't look down, you're not going to fall. But of course, there's no solid footing underneath you at all. So this is not going to be a viable long-term approach for you. Again, it's a coping mechanism, meaning you're going to be able to distract yourself from the real problem only temporarily, but then it's going to come back. And the major problem with each one of these coping mechanisms is as soon as you're diverting your focus away from the real problem and consuming yourself in one of these, it feels like you're making progress. It feels like you're finding some way to deal, but really all you're doing is just ignoring that monster in the closet until the next environment you're in brings it back out, okay? And so that's not any help to you. So throwing yourself into your work is just not going to help you in the long term. The second major coping mechanism that people are using is talk therapy or counseling. And so it's important to understand that when you're going into that environment, the assumption is that your problem is likely to be with you for an indefinite period of time, at least a very long period of time. Most of the treatment protocols are based around having, very extended periods of treatment. And so again, really creates a sense that there's progress being made because maybe you're getting things off your chest, you're venting, you're allowing things to get outside of your mind, so to speak. But very often people realize after a couple of months of this, it's not really helping. You're not getting close to a solution. You're essentially re-sifting through all of the old memories or reasons why you feel like you're in the state you're in right now, and that's not necessarily going to actually help you. So again, just another coping mechanism. The third one that people will tend to cling to is some sort of pill or prescription medication. This could be something that is directly prescribed to them for mental health. It could be something different. And obviously, we know that some individuals are abusing controlled substances and prescription drugs. So the thing to understand here with any of these is any sort of biochemical effects that you're going to experience are going to, first of all, be transient, right? They're going to be temporary. At the end of the day, that medication is going to wear off. Those feelings are going to resurface. You're going to have continued problems. The second thing to understand is that when you're going down this route, you're running the risk of chemical dependencies. You're running the risk of developing some very serious side effects. And really the perhaps largest problem is you're just simply not getting a solution when you think that you are. And so we've just got to be honest and clear that that's just not something that's going to help you. Now the fourth one I would say would be basic coping mechanisms that are usually provided in a talk therapy or counseling environment. So some people will do journaling, meditation. Some people will try, just simply, counting backwards from 100, right? Those types of things. And the challenge with these types of things is that they can help you in a moment. They can help you get out of that anxiety experience in the moment that you're using them. But they do not address the systemic problem. They do not actually help you overcome the challenge in a way that will allow you to simply stop playing whack-a-mole with your thoughts when they pop up, but will instead keep them from emerging in the first place. So again, another coping mechanism. The fifth one would be drugs and alcohol. Okay, so there's every drug under the sun, as well as alcohol are major ones that can be abused. The reason why people use these and cling to them very often is it seems to be an immediate way to take you again out of the anxious headspace and into a different headspace. Now, very often you can tailspin into an even deeper state of depression or anxiety while drunk or while high or whatever the case is. So it's not necessarily going to help you in that way. But even if it temporarily numbs you, even if it temporarily gets you to stop thinking about the things that are causing you problems, it's not going to make you any better. It's not going to create any real solutions for you. And as you can obviously appreciate, it's not sustainable for your health. You know, you're essentially killing yourself one glass at a time as you're continuously trying to drown out the problems, and you're no longer getting any close to a solution. There's an extra added problem with this particular coping mechanism, which is that the people around you get affected deeply. So particularly professionals who are engaging in these types of behaviors think that they're keeping their habit well hidden, either from their spouse or their children, and they're not. It's just like you might think that your internal emotional problems are being well hidden from the people who care about you. They're not. It's just not how it works. They are intuitively far more aware than you would like to believe about what's going on with you. In fact, don't you intuitively know when the people that you love have something going on in their life that is a little bit off? Of course you do. So that's one thing that you really want to be keeping an eye out for as well, is you don't want to be creating role model behavior or impacting the people around you with that type of thing. And it's just not helping you at the end of the day. Now, the next one would be distractions. The typical ones would be binge watching television, zombie scrolling on social media, right? Again, each one of these, if you're seeing a pattern, is getting you out of that one state of mind into a different state of mind temporarily, even though you're gonna go right back to it. So again, it's just not really serving you. Not saying you can never watch TV again or that you shouldn't, but if you're using it as a way to just switch your brain off, turn off, and try to get through the remaining part of the day, if you're essentially trying to fast forward your life simply by watching reruns, might not be the best use of your time in order to create a fulfilling sense of life. And then the final one that I've found a lot of people will use is music. So very often, you know, people use this even to kind of get the steam out, so to speak. You know, they'll have that high intensity music, or they'll try to mellow out with something a little bit more ambient, which is great. You know, enjoy music. Let it allow you to change your emotional states. But if you believe that you're going to use that as the sole therapy that you need in order to actually get this turned around, it's not going to help you. So remember that the bottom line here is you got to get clear on what your goal is. Is your goal to just get through another day, get through another week, and make it hopefully a little less painful? Then any of these coping mechanisms might do, and they may be useful to try, I guess. But if your real goal, which I believe it really is deep down, even though you may not yet be in a place where you're feeling resolute and committed to make it happen, I think your real goal is to get this solved, to really overcome it. And then when you get in the solution mindset versus the coping mindset, that presents a whole different set of choices to you and gives you an opportunity to move down a completely different set of proven steps to make that happen. So I would love for you to comment below, what's another coping mechanism that is not going to help your anxiety, maybe one that you've used in the past, and I'd be very curious to hear your thoughts. So thanks for listening. Take care for now, and talk soon.